Should married men have girlfriends?
Yes or
I'm
no?
in trouble.
Us three are doomed.
Yes.
We remain your friends in hopes that one day there'll be a crack in the door, a chink in the armor, and trust and believe that guy that you think is just your buddy, he will slide in that crack the moment he gets the opportunity.
I have a friend who I grew up with since like the 4th grade.
I'm not letting my wife near King Cobra.
Yeah, I get that. I probably still wouldn't go. Welcome to the Common Podcast, where we speak upon common sense and realize it really isn't that common. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting topic today, and we've literally max capacitied this place that we have going on here. We have a total of 4 people on this show this time, 2 of which were guests in the past. So I'm very excited to cover a topic that was struck after one of the conversations and one of the podcasts that we have. It struck interest in all 4 of us, and we wanted to bring it to light. So without further ado, guys, should married men have girlfriends?
I say yes, but upon mutual respect on both partners.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes, but also with parameters, and there's got to be some kind of boundary set.
Okay.
I say absolutely.
Yes.
No.
So either way,
Uh-huh.
us 3 are doomed.
Yes.
Yes or
I'm
no?
in trouble for doing this right now. My phone's going to be ringing, so I'm just gonna, I'm going to put this on silent.
Is your couch comfy?
Yeah.
Or your car.
Oh my God, man.
Car.
Put that down.
So before we go any further, guys, and before I answer, what do you all think about this topic? Should or are men capable of having female friends while being married? Leave it down in the comment section below. I'm going to give you all 5 to 6 seconds right now. Clock is ticking. Okay, so now for my answers. No, so we talked about this, Ray, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this after the last time we had you on. And initially, my answer was no.
Yeah.
Initially.
Good answer.
Okay. But it has changed. But because the question is so broad, that I think overall, yes, the answer is yes, they are capable of having it, but it all has to come down to boundaries and circumstances. Okay. I feel that the only possible way that a married man should and is capable of having a female friend, it is if it's mutual with the wife.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is my answer right there.
Okay.
That is the only way that it is possible, because if a married man has a female friend that the wife has no contact with, that can get very
It's weird.
dangerous.
Yeah,
So the
extremely.
only time, or the only way that I can come in and be like, well, here's a circumstance where it's not that way, is because I have a friend who I grew up with since like the 4th grade.
Yes. I was going to say.
And since being even simply in a relationship with my wife right now, I've immediately communicated, hey, I'm talking to this friend.
Yeah.
And like, hey, like, she would love to meet you. Like, hey, like this and
Yeah.
that. But
Evolving.
also, though, the boundary is like, I'm not talking to this person every single day.
Exactly. So
I speak to her maybe once, like actually speak to her maybe once every 6 months.
Yeah.
And 99.9% of the time, my wife is a part of the text conversation of like, oh my gosh, like we need to meet up on a double date, like, or we need to do this. But she has no affiliation with this friend that I grew up with.
Yeah, so she wouldn't go on her own time and talk to her.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's a healthy, like, if there's someone you grew up with and you cherished a friendship with. In fact, matter of fact, This person and I, who I also communicated to my wife, I said, we actually tried dating. And the reason it did not work when we were kids, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Go ahead. Since 6th, 7th grade, when 6th, 7th grade, dating was just like walking around and being like, I like you, you like me.
Yeah.
It felt too weird. It was like, you and I have so much of a close friendship. This is disgusting. This is gross. And I've communicated that to my wife. And every single time I have a conversation with this person, I talk to my wife about it. And like, now that this person is in a relationship, we're like trying to meet up to have double dates and things like that. So like,
That's cool.
at least I'm making the attempt to like turn it into a friendship.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we actually speak maybe once every other 6 months. Like, we rarely ever actually have a conversation. And when we do, it involves both partners on both sides.
Yeah.
It's a very healthy conversation.
Yeah.
And also, on top of that, I don't have to hide the conversation from my spouse.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have
huge.
to be like, will she have a
That's
problem with it?
important.
As
Yeah.
soon
Yeah.
as you start to think like,
Yeah.
will she have
That's
a
a red
problem
flag.
with it?
You
Then
probably-
immediately
yeah.
you know you're going in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
So like that's why I can say there might be some circumstances where, like, I know you wanted to click the no button, but I feel like, I know you clicked the no button, but like, because of how I've maintained the friendship and established it into my marriage, and the fact that my wife knows about this person, is why it feels safe.
Okay.
And like, now to be able to evolve
works.
into exactly.
That's fair. Now, before I pass it to Veronica, I want you to give what you were thinking. in
Yeah,
that
why you
moment.
hit the.
Okay, but before I pass it to you, I feel like that's a rare circumstance.
I agree.
Gener-
No, I agree. There's one person in my life, my entire life, that's
Yeah,
like that way.
Generally speaking, that probably men are not capable. Majority of men are not capable.
Capable is a very strong word.
It is a strong word,
Yeah,
but this
yeah,
is
yeah.
this is a very touchy topic, and I think
Okay.
I think it's possible, but I agree. It doesn't work all the time.
Yeah, and it also goes back to like what you said, talking to them every day. If you're talking to a female,
Or not even every day, but just constantly, just like,
Like
Yeah.
regularly.
even once a week. If
Yeah.
you like you try to maintain that relationship, is when it becomes a little sketchy.
yeah,
like,
that's
a little
dangerous.
weird.
So how long? What exactly is friendship? Because a friendship to me is keeping in contact every week.
I
So-
disagree.
So okay, that's for you. But for me, like, if I'm not talking to you every week, I really don't consider you a friend. So there's that. So this topic's gonna have a lot of gray areas where we agree and disagree in certain things. But so I can say right now I don't have any female friends, and I'm kind of glad it's that way. Me personally.
You got 99 pounds.
You're glad that way
91.
because you don't feel capable.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Good
that's,
for you.
that's
Bold of
you
you to
know,
say,
that's
yeah,
you
good
knowing
for you.
yourself.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean?
You're on
Like,
the same
yeah.
side.
all I need is my wife.
Well, no, but you're immediately putting those because of like you knowing who you are as a person.
Exactly.
You're immediately putting down those boundaries and being like, I can't because of
So,
X,
yeah,
Y, and Z.
This is why
So
it
that's
gets
really good.
personal, and it's you have to know
yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
You have to know yourself, and you have to know your partner, and then see you know your wife. You said that she's comfortable with it, you know. So you know your marriage. That's why it's it's
Communication is
possible.
key.
That's how it's possible. Veronica, what were you thinking when he was like? Because like I said, generally speaking, like it's not really like common
It's
to.
very rare
Yeah.
to have something like that. In that situation, I would absolutely see it as a red flag, only because past trauma,
Sure.
whatever.
Absolutely.
But you gotta be the trust has to be there for one. Two, I mean, you obviously chose your wife for a reason. You said, hey, this is the woman in my life. This is the woman that I'm gonna do everything with, tell everything to. So in some cases, when it comes to like past female friends that were before your wife, obviously, but you married your wife. Say, for example, you tell past friend everything that you don't tell your wife. Wife is gonna see that as a problem and be like, hey, why aren't you talking to me about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
What I find tricky in that situation is that y'all dated. Yeah, it didn't work.
When I say we dated, it was like
Yeah,
2 days.
childhood.
It was a trial.
And not even that. It was
Right.
like 2 days before we were like disgusted.
Okay.
Like, so it wasn't really dated. Like,
The idea
But-
crossed the mind.
exactly. We
The
were like,
intention
oh, it
was
would be
there.
cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we were like, oh, it would be cool. We're best friends.
Yeah.
So that would be really cool if we're best friends and also had some sort of interest. And like 2 days later, we were like, ew. So like,
you were like,
yeah, exactly. But so was she. And so like, and since then, like, it was like, you know, like high school happens, you like grow apart and things like that. She just happened to be one of the persons that, like,
Stuck around.
yeah. And when I say stuck around, 2 conversations a year. And both of those conversations a year, my wife was involved and was like, hey, this person wants to meet with us on a double date. And like, she was like my best friend growing up. And so like, I get that it's super rare. And you brought up a really great point about like talking to another person about things that you don't necessarily talk to or haven't spoken to with your spouse. That's when the red flag should pop up.
Yeah,
Because I have since experienced a crazy lifestyle from like even being separated from this person that my wife knows not just who I am, but she knows me better than who I am right now.
Your wife.
Yeah, exactly. My wife.
Yeah.
And so like I know for a fact that again, it's rare, but I also know I'm not going to go and tell some stranger, male or female, like, oh my gosh, my wife doesn't know, but like, here's the tea.
oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Because, and that's what you brought up. That's what's super interesting. And it brings in that temptation though, which is why she's like brought up a good point. It does bring in that temptation of having that friend outside because it does become tough to talk to your spouse about some things and easier to talk about like a friend or like easier to
Yeah.
like kind of get off on that. So it's a really good point. But what's really important to establish right off the bat is that you cannot come even close to that. You can't even think
The
about
idea or the
the
seed of the idea cannot be there.
the idea of simply telling something to someone that you have not already told your spouse.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to become bad and
Yeah.
something
Big
dangerous. Exactly. So I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
And I think that her and I on both sides, because she has on her side has the same relationship with friends that she's grown up with that she speaks to once or twice a year, and I have no problem with. But the minute that she's like, yeah, I told so and so about the big fight we had, I'm like, excuse me? No, which has never happened, but
Yeah.
it goes both ways. So
Yeah.
like I get it, but it has to do with healthy boundaries and
Yeah.
things like that. So absolutely. I think it's okay, but there has to be very, very tight restrictions around it on
For
both
sure.
on both
And
sexes.
we'll get into boundaries.
Yeah.
Later on in the show, but I want to touch because I think this is where we're gonna start to split because you and I already split here.
Yeah.
What do you qualify as friends for y'all two? Because, like I said, for me, it's telling them personal stuff, talking to them maybe once every 1 to 2 weeks. They know how I am personally. Yeah. That's for me. Not talking once or twice a year, like
Yeah.
Like
So what's friendship to you guys? Like, let's say male or female. Like, what's a friend to you? Do you
Like,
have to keep in
just
contact with?
yeah.
Generally speaking, do you have to keep in contact with them? Yeah.
contact, like all the time. It could be. I think if you can count the number of times you have contact with them, then it's probably not a friend.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
But
I get that.
but if you can't keep count, and I'm saying even subconsciously, like maybe it's several times a day, or maybe it's every other day, but still, like it's just several. It's regular.
Yeah.
It's, you have a regular relationship with that person, then that I would say that would be considered a friend to me. You know.
What about you?
Someone I keep in contact with.
What about me? What?
So, what do you consider friendship? So, like, do you have to feel like you have to be like in contact with them with a individual like consistently, or for it to be friendship?
I mean, there can be some cases too where the wife and the friend are actually friends and they actually do get along.
No, but like for you
Just
personally,
generally speaking, like
Oh,
male or
me-
female,
Like,
male
what
or
do you
female.
consider a
So
friend?
like your girlfriend.
Oh, what am I?
Girlfriends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like
Not marriage wise.
no, not
No,
marriage
no.
wise.
Oh, okay. We should.
What do you? Okay.
Go ahead. Be specific.
No.
Okay.
Sorry,
Just
I
like-
thought we were still in the
Yeah,
marriage
no,
topic.
Just so like generally speaking, like you
What
and
do-
your girlfriends, what do you consider friendship? So like, do you feel like you have to consistently have conversation, communication? And when we say consistently, it could be, you know, watered down a little bit, maybe once a week or things like that. Just a consistent conversation with them. Do you consider that friendship, or do you think that friendship can go beyond that?
I consider that friendship.
Okay.
Like you don't
Do you think it
necessarily
go
have to
beyond
talk
that?
every day,
Mm-hmm.
but
so like here's a good gauge. Would you consider us friends?
yeah.
You would. Mm-hmm. See, like for me,
Because I mean, even though we all don't talk, we all don't, you know.
Yeah, not every day.
yeah. So me, I wouldn't consider that as like true friendship for me. For me, I would be like, oh, I'm cool with her. We're
Yeah.
acquaintances.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's like more personal.
Oh, gotcha.
Like you know what I mean?
Okay, well then that changes my answer a little bit too, because then that would be a close friend, but then you have like a broader spectrum of friends.
Gotcha.
Like me and her go way back. You know, I would say we're friends.
Okay.
Did
but
we
y'all
graduate
don't
the same
talk.
year?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
09, right?
That's
Yeah.
a good
Okay,
perspective.
there you go.
Okay, so here's my answer.
Mm-hmm.
I consider you a friend. Only because I've only met you. This is the second time I've met you. I consider you a friend because we've immediately had deep impact conversation.
Okay.
And if I like were to message you, let's say you never appear on the show again. If I were to message you a month from now and be like, hey, me and my wife are in Brownsville or like whatever, you want to meet up with us, and if you're like, yeah, I would introduce you to my wife as my friend, as someone who would be like, hey, this person and I had a deep conversation. Like,
That's a
you're
good
my
gauge, too.
friend.
Yeah.
How would you introduce
But also,
the other person?
exactly.
That
And
was the next
also-
stage I was gonna
But
go into.
also, on
Let him
top of
finish.
that, though, if I ran into, I don't know, a person that I kind of knew in high school, I wouldn't introduce that person as my friend.
I
I'd
went
be
to
like,
high
here,
school with this
I went to
person.
high school with this person. And on top of that, though, someone who is a close friend, I don't need to be in contact with. So the girl that I was talking about earlier, I consider her one of my bestest friends, even though I speak to her maybe once, twice a year.
Okay.
Only because I know for a fact that I can pick up the phone 6 years from now, at any time of the day, and be like, "Hey, I need you," and she would be there.
There are friendships out there like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I don't need to be in constant conversation for it to be a friendship.
Got you. So this is the second gauge, and is the perfect segue to my next topic of what considers a friend is the personal conversations. So like in that aspect of like, since we've invited Veronica on the show, we do know a little bit deeper, and even after the show, she stays on and we talk to her. So in that sense, now I can see that y'all have brought a different perspective in me. Like, okay, yeah, I do see that as a friendship.
Yeah.
So now I'm on your guys'
Yeah.
side when it comes to that. But I think it has to be like if the personal conversations weren't there or the time wasn't there, then it wouldn't be a friendship. But now that y'all brought that to light, I would say that.
But coming from a marriage standpoint, because I consider you a friend, if you call me up at 3 a.m., I'm going to answer. But I'm immediately going to wake up my wife and be like, hey, our friend needs help.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm not going to
That's
sting
the
you.
ideal thing to do.
No. And so like,
You go.
right? No, because my wife knows everything about me. She knows everything about you, and like she loved the show. She like loved everything about
she already knows
So
you?
yes. So like she's watched you, and she's like, we had a whole conversation about it. So like if you called me and was like, I'm broken, I'm down, I need someone to talk to, I would like wake up my wife and be like, hey, we need to be here for someone, because that's
I
that's
appreciate
how
that.
that's how we
I
are
really
as
do.
friends to other people.
Yeah.
So like
honestly,
Me
y'all.
too, but that's been an issue with me before too. Yeah. Well, maybe we
Okay.
can go to that later.
Right.
But yeah.
We will
But-
get personal.
but that's why it's also super important, because if we have the conversation before, that's why it was important to have the conversation of like, hey, this girl that I was on the podcast with,
Establish
she
that.
has this
Yeah.
whole deep dark stuff, and maybe she needs someone to talk to.
Yeah.
We need to be those people for her any time of the day. And believe it
Yeah.
or not, we've already had that conversation. We like need to be
Yeah,
that person or
Yeah.
those people for anyone who needs that help. And I want to be those people that like you can call at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
I
vent or
thrive
cry
on
at.
that. I thrive on that.
And on top of that, I can't be that jealous husband that if a guy calls her at 4 a.m., because on top of that, I have that exact same expectation that she's going to turn around and wake me up and be like, hey, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because we will take that same
Yeah.
same
you would
level of
obviously have to know something
exactly.
of it. Yeah.
Like obviously don't
it's a
call
random
3M and be
stranger.
like, oh my gosh, my cat pissed on my carpet. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
obviously.
So
but,
y'all actually, and this is the first time it's ever happened on the show.
Yeah.
Y'all actually changed my perspective of friendship. Like,
yeah.
that's cool.
Like it has everything it has nothing to do with like consistent conversation. Because honestly, like if you had a person who was in consistent conversation, you're in consistent conversation with your coworkers. Do you honestly consider that friendship? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with,
Yeah, that's
all
true.
of that.
Yeah, because Carlos, like,
I was gonna
Carlos
say.
and I, bro, we honestly, we didn't talk for like a year straight.
Wow.
And then he invited me to his house to work out.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, make yourself at home. And like, I'll be outside in his gym. Like, I'll be there in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was just chilling in his house. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like if nothing ever changed. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And
You
that's
pick up right where you left off. Like
Yeah.
that's what he
Exactly.
said. It could
Exactly.
be 6 years from now, and it'll be the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. And so, like, I would say, like, my assistant, she's been there at the location, right? Because I'm a manager. Since the day that I started, we got hired at the same day. You know what I mean? And so, like, we have a good relationship work wise, but like, there's a huge boundary of like, we really don't even talk if we're not at work. And if it's a text, it's
About work.
work related,
Yeah.
like strictly, and it's an unspoken boundary. Like, we didn't even have to set that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know
That's
what I mean?
what it's always
unspoken.
been.
Yeah, it's always been. So, yeah.
But because neither of you have taken that step to further the boundary.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's not friendship. That's work relationship.
Exactly. Okay.
Had you guys like had you brought her over like with you and your wife and you like cooked a meal for her and like you guys like and not
Yeah.
not saying like you have to do a gesture,
Yeah.
but just saying doing something to like intimately bring another person into your life in any sort of aspect.
Push that boundary.
That's what brings in friendship. So the fact that I had one conversation with her where she just simply talked about her divorce, and the fact that I felt confident enough to challenge her, and we got into that conversation. As soon as she left, I was like, I gained another friend today.
Yeah.
Like I have another friend. Like I
you don't
can,
always have to agree.
exactly,
But
exactly,
the fact that intimate conversation was there.
exactly. And the
Relationship formed.
the fact that she
Yeah.
walked in and we gave each other a hug and we immediately talked about the podcast and was like, "No, dude, I'm proud of you. That was super awesome." She was like, "Yeah, I was super nervous."
Yeah.
We immediately went back into like a deep personal conversation,
Yeah.
even if it was like short and simple. Like that's friendship.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's
agree.
That's a
even,
bond.
Even
a
if
bond. Yeah.
even if I don't speak
Good
to her
word.
for another like 8 months, if I see her 8 months from now and she's doing whatever she's doing, or I'm walking down like I don't know, I'm going to Old Navy next to Sunrise Mall. And she's passing by, I'm gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, hey!"
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Like
Like,
that-
I felt comfortable enough texting her right before the show when somebody else canceled on us.
Exactly.
Like, hey, Veronica, like, would you like to be on the show? So
Exactly.
that is, I guess, a sense
And
of friendship.
and also though, being married or being in a relationship, the fact that I can be like, "Oh my god, hey," and then turn around to my spouse and be like,
So and so just
"Exactly,"
texted, yeah.
and my wife be like, "Oh hey,"
yeah.
that's what sets the healthy boundary. If my
Yeah.
wife's like, "I'm sorry,
Or
who?"
makes a face.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then that's when it gets become like that's when it becomes weird.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and even if you like continue like the bond, friendship, whatever, and then like months later you tell your wife, she's gonna be like, "Oh well, why are you barely telling me now?" You know what I
there you
mean?
go, there you
So it's
When you had all the
tricky.
opportunity
Yeah.
to do it before. Yeah.
Like
So-
you should have done it right away.
So I think I told you. I don't think you guys know. But in high school, I was like a very dirty dog. Like I was a horrible human being in high school, and I used women as like toys.
A
Like I really,
Ooh.
yeah. And so, growing up and getting older,
Yeah.
I felt exact.
You
So
can know to yourself right now.
right.
There you go.
No. So growing up and getting older and being in the mindset that I am today, especially being with my wife, I'm like, I would have absolutely hated for someone to have treated my wife, you
The
know,
way you
at
treated
that
women.
point, the way that I treated
Yeah.
other people.
Gotcha.
So before I even made contact with anybody, I told my wife, I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm tired of this guilt. I'm tired of this shame. I'm going to try to reach out to every single person that I mistreated and just simply say, I'm sorry, you deserve better.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah.
Good
So
for you.
it was, and I did that. I messaged every single person, whether it was Instagram, Facebook, or any sort of way that I could
I feel like
possibly
that's a
try.
movie plot.
Right?
Right.
It's the
Okay.
start of a rom-com.
Let's challenge that, Ray.
All right.
Okay, so that's a beautiful thing.
Okay.
Okay, but I feel like that's another rare thing. I feel like your wife's a rare gem because
She is. She's
Okay.
fantastic. She's
would
amazing.
your wife be okay with you hitting up your exes or
No.
like a girl that you would talk
Absolutely
to?
not.
Okay,
No.
that's what I mean by you know what I mean. Those
But
are rare.
that's why I say a sit down conversation and being like, here's what I've done. Here are my sins. I'm a terrible human being.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to not make my wrongs right.
Yeah.
But I want
justify
these
them.
people that I've torn apart to know that what I did was wrong.
Yeah. And you feel bad for what
And
you
I
did.
feel
and
bad
you
for what I did.
recognize
So when I
now-
went back and messaged them,
Yeah.
I was like sitting next to my wife and I was teary eyed because like all I could think about was like what I had done to this person. Like
Yeah.
I like would pretend like I wanted a relationship
Yeah,
and then
but
get
then-
what I wanted
Yeah,
and then be
yeah.
like, I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And they would be broken. Like they
Yeah.
would be heartbroken. And like I had like, and at the time I didn't care. I was
Yeah,
all
yeah.
hormones. I didn't like, who cares? But
yeah.
now I'm like, as a man looking at a woman who deserves the entire world,
You messed her
I'm
up.
like, I could not picture, like every woman deserves the entire world. So I could not imagine her having to go through that pain. And so when I went through all those messages and like was talking to all those people, I made it a point to my wife that she would sit there and watch every single, or like at least be aware of every single like
this
conversation
is
that I had.
happening.
Or like I sent all the messages like within 30 minutes all at once. Like I say all at once. It wasn't the same message. I like individually, like
Personalized,
exactly.
yeah.
I like went
lot of
through
work.
everybody
I don't know.
for a dirty
and then
mug.
sent it.
wonder.
So there were like days before I even got a response. And when I finally did, I immediately would open to my wife and be like, here's what I got. And some were really, really amazing. And some were like, yeah, you tore me up.
Yeah.
And so I would be like, yeah, I know. And I'm not a therapist. And
Yeah.
even if I was, I couldn't help you. Like, I'm sorry.
So at that point, it's like counterproductive. It's like, so why did you remind me?
The fact is that I'm reaching out to someone who I had a past like physical relationship with.
Yeah.
And I like am trying to like there were cut ties that I cut for a very bad reason.
Yeah.
And bringing it back in, I'm like, hey, like this is. Whereas in any other aspect, any man going, hey, I'm gonna message my ex-girlfriend from 2-3 years ago, anyone would go no.
Yeah.
But-
But the reasons why behind it, yeah.
In fact, and they have to be, in my opinion, not that drastic, but they do have to have some sort of very like a very essential reason as far as why you're contacting somebody from your past. If you're in a like a relationship and things like that, like otherwise, like why?
Yeah.
Like what are you doing?
And
It's the only reason why it worked for me.
I'll do that like every now and then, like yesterday. Now that you bring that up, there's
Wait, what?
yeah.
Yesterday, I hit up this girl, bro.
Yeah, no, yeah, for real. I did not. I have no shame. There's no shame in my game. Because, like you said, child. Everybody take your turn. I know you want to hear it. I haven't seen this friend in like forever, and I completely forgot she was on my friend list or whatever. But then I just so happened to be scrolling through Facebook, and she comes up, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen her in like years, and we used to be like super close. Like we'd see each other every single day. So the only thing that I do this with guys too. So it's not just like just girls that I do. Like it's men, women, just friends in general. So I'll reach out to somebody and say, hey, I haven't seen you in forever. How have you been? Just hope that you're okay. Just wanted to say hey because I saw you and just remembered hanging out. So just wanted to say hi, and that's it. And if they don't respond, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And they'll respond like, yeah, I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good too.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's just message.
Even
and
that can put you into a sketchy situation.
it could, but
Without
like,
the
the only time that I've done that,
but
with someone-
intention is the big thing too.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the only time I've ever done anything like that though, I immediately like inserted my wife. So like the person that I contacted is also married. I went to high school with both of these people, and they have kids. And so when I contacted her, it was because her and I were very, very close growing up in high school, and was like, my wife and I need to come and have like a barbecue with your family.
Yeah.
Like we need
Like
to, I
trying
want
to
to catch
include her.
Exactly.
Because even though your intentions were good,
Yeah.
your
that
wife
whole conversation is very like
your wife might not think it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like that's where it can be tricky. So Veronica, like I saw you like reacting to Justin, like really like, oh, that's so beautiful. And it
No,
is.
'cause, I mean-
like I said, it's a rare
Coming
gem,
from
though.
him.
Right?
Yeah.
no, I want to say real quick before you answer that.
Okay.
My wife is the most humble and most understanding person that I've ever met in my entire life, and I was best friends with her before she even realized I fell in love with her. And that's
cool.
and I told myself, if I meet any other person on the face of this planet, I have to marry her because I can't let this person go. Because of the character that she is,
Yeah.
there's no way on the face of this planet that I can let someone who I can like be in this dark place and walk through suicide, go through like alcohol and like troubled situations where I just was in this deep dark place, and like this person, this individual, my wife, walked me out of single-handedly. She walked me out of these deep dark places. And so the fact that like I'm not trying to portray that I have like a perfect relationship, because I want to be very clear.
yeah.
There were times that I have a gun in my house. There were times that like my wife and I would get into an argument, and as soon as I would storm off to go into our bedroom, she would try to beat me to grab the gun to pull it out, so
She
I wouldn't
already
try
knew.
to like do something stupid
Yeah,
and commit
yeah.
suicide.
cow.
Like that was the type of shit that I'm far from having a perfect relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
She like had to deal with very dark
Intense
places
stuff.
inside of me.
Yeah.
So like, just wanted to end it that I'm not in a perfect relationship. My wife to me is perfect. She has her imperfections,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
but I like her imperfections is what makes me whole. So
Gotcha.
like, it's just, yeah. I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that real quick
Yeah. No.
before I get into that, because I'm not trying to like portray that I'm like
Yeah.
Trying to
an
score
angel
points,
marriage
man,
and things
score
like that.
points.
I have very dark. I have a dark marriage sometimes. So like,
Yeah.
it's,
Everybody
you know,
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only marriage, relationship, but how would you
Sorry.
feel? Let's
No,
take-
you're good,
okay.
you're good.
I didn't mean to
Let's take that
interrupt you. I just needed
scenario
to
that
throw
he
that
was
out there.
saying onto you because you thought it was so beautiful. But how would you like it if, let's say, your ex-husband came out to you and he's like, "Look, this is why I really want to," exactly the way Justin would approach it. Could you say that you would handle it the way his wife would handle it? Honestly.
Like if yeah.
Wait.
So like if
Sorry.
if your significant other came in and said, you know, I've been a really bad person in high school, so I really
For
feel
my
like
mental health.
for my mental health and to make me feel better, I need to message all the people that I've slept with and just
Would part of
apologize.
you feel like he's just trying to
open that crack?
Take advantage.
Yeah,
Open that crack?
I know where you're getting at. It depends on how much you trust your spouse.
Yeah.
And if he's willing to do what Justin did, like, because not all guys do that,
No.
especially from being dirt dogs or however you
Or,
describe it.
and don't do it with good intentions.
Dirty
Exactly.
dogs, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
not
for
all,
sure.
like, men that are like that don't always change. Like, you know, like they'll
There's a little
continue
bit still
being
in
that
there.
same person.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to do that and actually have the real intentions to apologize to these women and, like, you know, because you put yourself in their shoes and how they feel and how they were treated by you, yeah, that's a good thing. So yes, I would support my spouse or whatever if he had that intention to do that to all the females that he like.
Hurt.
Yeah, but you
hurt.
answer that with saying if he had that intention. What if he came to you and you don't know the intention? He just comes to you
Yeah.
and says, "Here's what I want to do." Do you immediately are you immediately like, that's probably not a good idea?
Yeah.
Or are you like, yeah, you know what, that's super sweet, because you don't know if that's
Yeah.
his real intention.
I mean, he would have to. I mean, at least I would want to have like a full
conversation.
detail, yeah, like as to why he wants.
Would you
to
want
do
to be
that.
there while he's messaging, and would you want to know the responses?
Yeah, because I mean, like, being honest with you, she was a part of only a handful of the conversation. She was not a part of the like every single person I contacted.
Yeah.
She was a part of every single.
Handful.
She was a.
How much? What do you consider a handful?
I was a dirty dog. No.
That says it
So-
all.
So she was a part of a few, conversations.
How much is few?
Anyway,
I'm just kidding.
no. Anyway, but she was a part of every single response.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if he came to you and was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna message, X amount of girls," and I didn't even give her the amount. I said, "I'm going to message every single person that I've wronged, and that I treated this way." And I didn't take me to realize that I treated them this way until I met you. And so I get that whether it's a rare circumstance or not, men are still men.
Yeah.
And so,
Which
like,
we're gonna get into.
had a person, and the reason I held myself accountable to have every response like my wife a part of is had one of them come back and be like, "It's okay, we should do it again sometime." My wife was gonna see that message because I would be
Wait,
like,
do what
"Oh,
again sometime?
Like hook up.
like hook up," because so the reason I reached out to them is because I only use them for sex.
Oh, okay.
So I went and apologized to them that the fact that I treated them like meat.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And I told my wife, I'm going to apologize to them for making them treating them like dirt. So upon their response, I'm like now having my wife see every response that there is that I sent out. And not because I don't think that I can't handle it, but only because even if I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm a married man. I don't want anything to do with that. But if 2 months later she goes and sees that response, or you know what I'm saying? That's a whole chaotic disaster. You have to hold yourself accountable. So your significant other comes up to you and says, "I'm going to message X amount of women and just say, hey, I'm sorry for treating you this way." But every single person that he's contacting, he slept with. What's your immediate? What we want to know your immediate response. Immediate response.
Immediate response. I would have a slight fear of him doing that, because I mean, there are women out there that would appreciate that to the max, that you're actually going out there to reply or to say you're sorry or whatever. But there's also women out there that don't care if you're married. They'll just still be like, hey, well, let's hook up.
Yeah, and also
your wife won't know.
Really appreciate
it. Really depends on circumstance, because the only reason my wife was understanding is because I was through that dark age. Yeah, and I was like, I need to fix myself, and I need to start from the bottom up.
So the fact that it was part of your
my
process,
walkthrough.
Yes, your wife was amazing for supporting.
I would say outside of that, not like anyone just being like, hey, I just need to message so and so. Just be like, hey, like
real casual.
Then I would say hell no.
Only
because I know the guy's mindset.
Yeah.
I really do.
So the reason why I asked y'all is because I was also asking myself, okay, because this is something that I wanted to do. What Justin did was something that I wanted to do with my very first relationship. But
before your wife?
My very first, I've only had 3 relationships.
Okay.
So my very first one didn't end off very well at all. I would say I'm at fault, and I felt terrible about it. And so throughout my second relationship, I always had it in the back burner of my head, like just thinking like, man, I always wanted to go apologize, right? Only because I was going through a tough time. I was going through a rough patch. I was really feeling like just terrible. And I felt like this was a way to forgive myself if I can go back and not, even if she doesn't accept my forgiveness, but just, put it out there.
You made that step.
Yeah. And I never did it. And I really don't think that I need it now, but that was something I always wanted to do. But the fear of my significant other at the time, of her getting upset or what her or other people would think, I never asked. And I never did it. So you're brave.
Yeah.
Right?
Super.
It also depends on the maturity of the relationship.
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
Because in high school, a relationship in high school, and you decide that you're at that maturity level. Yeah. That doesn't mean that the relationship is at that maturity level.
That's
so that it's definitely is probably not going to work out in your favor. Like
it was 2 years ago. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like if that's the case, and you guys feel like you're at the level of like, hey, you know what, I need to do this. If she's like, well then. Even her knowing that you're going through a very dark time, you're probably not at the relationship point. At some point in that relationship, you might be able to. Yeah. But at that point in the relationship, you probably need to wait a little bit. which sucks for
Sucks,
people like
yeah.
us.
Yeah,
because we really need to get that monkey off our back.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, exactly,
For
exactly,
sure.
exactly. But overall speaking, men suck.
For
Men
sure,
are-
which we're gonna go into.
men are
I want to
dogs.
show you all a Steve Harvey clip, okay, which y'all are also gonna be seeing on the screen. And
Steve Harvey, man.
Steve Harvey hits hard.
He
All
does.
all about that truth, man.
Check it out.
All of my friends are men. I don't have female friends. I don't. I'm incapable of that.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, because come on.
Because you have a wife.
Well, I have a wife, and I don't really have female friends because look. Okay, let's get rid of this myth right
wanna
here.
know why.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. Let's get rid of this right here. You're an attractive woman. There's some guy somewhere saying, "Yeah, we're friends." No, that's not true. He's your friend only because you have made it absolutely clear that nothing else is happening except this friendship we have. We remain your friends in hopes that one day there'll be a crack in the door, a chink in the armor. And trust and believe that guy that you think is just your buddy, he will slide in that crack the moment he gets the opportunity.
And you
Because
think
we're
most
guys.
men think this way?
99.9% of us think that way. And you tell this to a woman and it just blows her back. No, I have male friends. You have male friends because they know it can be nothing else right now. I tell you what, all your male friends, just ask them in a friendly way. If I wanted to date you, would you be okay with that? And watch the fireworks. Watch.
Oh,
I agree 1,000,000%.
One
Men
mil-
suck.
yeah.
Guys suck.
The mentality is different from the way a male to a female program is completely different. And to make it very simple, women are very gullible when it comes to that, or very what's the word?
Naive.
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 Ignorance are pretty harsh.
I agree because I'm one of them. I'm a very gullible
Ignorant
woman.
is not saying that they're dumb.
No,
Just
it's
like
not.
they're
It's just that's
not being
the
aware.
connotation of the word is used.
Yeah.
way more often, but
Yeah,
it's-
okay.
it's-
So, but yeah, they're just programmed differently. So like, a girl can literally, I believe, a girl can have the intention that I want this guy just as a friend, and
very innocently
and they
believe that.
truly mean
Yeah.
it. But I do believe in what Steve Harvey just said, in the sense that guys, if it is possible, and when it is possible, will take that
Well,
opportunity.
if I'm being honest, like the fact that the friendship door is open, as adults, friendship door is open. Okay, that means that at some point this door is going to either unlock and I can figure out how to slip through a lock, or it's gonna somehow seep open just a little bit, and I'm gonna be able to like slip in.
Yeah.
Guys are gross. They think about things like that.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as like. I use this word very lightly only because of my circumstance, but like there's no such thing as like really innocent men. Like we like men always have some sort of wire, only because like our wiring, because it's different from women.
Yeah.
Our wiring is to breed. So if we
Exactly.
find something, if we find someone
pounce on it.
just a fraction attractive, exactly.
Well, no, I didn't mean. I meant pounce on the opportunity. Oh, yes. Let me clarify that.
Thank you for using words. Okay, no, but like men will, if they even for a fathom think that there's a fraction of a chance, they can just somehow seep in. They don't care if that other person is married. They don't care that the other person is in a relationship.
Yeah.
They don't care if the other person has 12 kids or like they don't care. Our wiring is to like be physical with another human being. But in our circumstance, and I say very again lightly, but just I'm not trying to excuse us from the situation. Because
Yeah.
we're still men, we're still gross,
Yes.
right? In our circumstance, the only reason that we did what we did or what we felt like we had to do was because we were in a dark place and our wiring at the time was not stable. And so we were like, oh, I have to make myself feel better. I need to make myself feel right. When men feel guilty, or like they go gamble, they go cheat and things like that. But specifically, at least for me, when you get into a place to where like you're thinking about ending your life, you're not thinking about cheating. You're not thinking about trying to go and like, you're not thinking about that fraction of a crack.
Yeah.
That's the last thing on your mind.
I was gonna say.
I would say, and there might be some other circumstances, but outside of that circumstance,
All
we're
game.
trying to like do something. Like honestly,
All game.
it's very healthy to like set circumstances like that. My only friends are, as far as female friends, are friends that I'm also like friends with
With your
also
wife.
my wife.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
mutual friends, and when we go and hang out or whatever, like so we got like season passes to a water park.
Yeah.
If this friend of mine and like her and I just go and hang out at that water park, I know for a fact my wife is going to show up like 30 minutes later or like whatever. Like,
Yeah.
there's always going to be some sort of involvement with my wife,
Yeah.
or like just always something with the other person.
Yeah. I think the only female, I guess you can say friendship that we have, since y'all changed the perspective of what friendship means to me, would be within the church, which they were first my wife's friends, right? And then even at that, I set boundaries with myself, right? I try not to talk to them if my wife's not around. Definitely not gonna be in my house with them alone or anything like that. And then I'm always cautious about how the certain situation, how it's gonna look from the people
On the
How-
outside.
outside looking
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that's very important. Or it cannot be. Do you think that's important to you? Let's give a scenario. Let's say you and your wife know that you had no bad intentions, right? But let's just say everybody else was thinking very wrongfully. Does that matter to you, or does that not matter to you?
So we do everything that we can to protect our marriage.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I think that something I say or do is going to look badly upon our marriage, then it's probably already a bad choice.
Yeah.
So if I think that like me and this other mutual friend of mine are gonna go off and like do our own thing for several hours, and if I even for a fathom think that it's gonna cause an ill thought and it eventually gets to my wife and my wife even have to question it for a second, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But if I know for a fact that like, especially when you know it's a healthy relationship, is the fact that I can go off with this person, hang out for an hour, and all of our friend group not even think twice and be like, oh
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Okay.
There's no way.
So let's say your wife's like, go ahead, like I'll meet y'all up in about an hour and a half, right? But let's say you consciously, like, well, it's not gonna look good, for like, I think these people are gonna think badly of us or illy of us. Would you still go, or would you be like, no, I'll wait for you.
So the thing with my personality is that for people that think that way of me, I cut ties immediately. I don't have people in my life.
Yeah.
If I think for a second that any sort of my actions are gonna like look badly
They wouldn't
upon
even
others,
think that about that you would do something that
then
way.
it's not worth me
Yeah.
having a relationship with them, and it's not worth my wife having a relationship with them, because I want my wife to be able to go off and have friends and not worry about the people around her and what they're thinking.
what if it wasn't even y'all's friends? What if it was a mutual friend
Then
of your friend?
I don't give a good
Okay, that's
damn.
where I was trying to
Same,
head to.
same.
Let's say it was your friend's friend, right? And she was gonna tag along, and maybe she thought like, what? Like,
She has nothing to do with me. She has nothing to do with my
that's
wife.
where I was headed.
She-
Is that the same?
She
thing for
wasn't
you?
there when I gave my vows to my wife.
Yeah.
And she and even the friends that I have now, they weren't there when I went through my dark age. Like, no.
So that would probably be the last time you'd hang out with that.
All right, who are
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah,
that person's around?
definitely.
Okay, we'll tell them to go screw themselves. Like, absolutely not. No.
I get that. I probably still wouldn't go. Though.
Yeah, just because of the way it looks.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
I don't want to risk it like
get
at
that.
all. You know what I mean? So I don't want any room of people to even think to give me that. Oh, like I'm pretty sure that guy
Yeah.
is cheating on her.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Because people will talk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then
Yeah.
what I was like kind of thinking as you were like saying all this stuff is that like sometimes with women being so gullible, the people out there that are watching can be like telling your wife all this stuff, and then the more she hears it, she's gonna be like, okay, well, what's really going
Yeah.
on? You know what I mean?
Now
And it's
the
just gonna
doubt
cause
takes
a
place.
big
Yeah.
That's why it's so important, though, to initially create your people.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
let's
I
say
agree.
the people outside of your people are thinking that way, like you said, by the time that it gets to your circle, they're going to say, hell no. You know, and I don't know how I've never ever found it in all the 25 years that I've been living, have never found it. I've finally found that circle. Yeah. And I found that to where if any sort of a word or anything like that gets anywhere near any of the friends that I have right now,
they shut it down.
They're going to be like, you're dumb.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, you're dumb. Because we know who these people are. And again, they know that we're not perfect. They know a few of the trials and triumphs that are downfalls that we've gone through.
Yeah.
But once it gets to that circle, if you can have the group of people to say, no, that's not true at all.
I feel like you and your wife probably have opened up very good with that circle.
Absolutely. And you have to be able to create that circle, you have to. So like our circle at first thought that we were like this perfect like couple. We just like loved, we never got into fights or anything like that. And then I finally told him, I was like, you guys don't realize like we work together. We get in fights all the time at work, but we like play it. We play it off. We like only treat
home. It's like
no, or like not even, no. Like we like
Talking all this shit.
like at work, we will like we will be assholes to each other at work, but on a very down low enough to like still be professional.
Yeah.
So like and like throw like shady words at each other, like whatever, and like that's our argument throughout work, and then get home and argue some more. But we make it a point to where no one knows. So like everyone's like, oh, you guys are so perfect.
That's important.
As soon as we started to open up and be like, no, here's what we've been doing at work, and you guys don't notice it. Here's what I've been going through. You don't notice it. Like here's my signs. Here's her signs. Like here's all that. That established the closer circle to an extent.
He was talking about zodiac signs.
He's with me, bro.
Oh no, I wasn't even saying. I wasn't even going that deep. I was saying signs as far as like signs
Red
that
flags.
she gives off to me that no one else knows,
for sure.
and vice versa. And that like today, she acted super rudely to a customer, but in a way that was so respectful. And I do the same thing on a daily. I do it way more than her, but in a way that is like the person is like, oh, this person is very nice, but only because I know my
her.
wife. I'm like, oh, she's pissed.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, no, you did something or whatever. And vice versa. I'm like, she'll see that I snapped at a customer, but be like, you have a great day, sir. And like, she'll pick up the tone or like anything like that. And she'll be like, okay, what's up? And I'll be like, no, you pissed me off. Like, screw you. I don't want to talk to you right now. And we have those private conversations. It's just like, it's things like that that like enable that circle.
I think it goes down to like personality as far as the marriage goes. Cause I think my wife and I were a lot more discreet than what like even if we have close, like, you know, friends or whatever, I feel like
Still kind of private.
Yeah, we're still kind of private. So I feel like we probably would never, I would never, you know, go off, or I don't know if we'll ever have that circle. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like, and I want to real quick backtrack because when my
You're trying to think about what could have got me in trouble.
no, not at all. But like,
Backpedal.
because she's aware and she's mature enough to understand. Like, no, I did do that today. But like when she goes off, or when I go off, there's no disrespect. Like, and the reason why, like, even my managers are like, hiring a married couple with you guys, that was the best thing ever. And in my head, I'm like, little do you freaking know, like, we've been arguing in the kitchen for 20 minutes. Like there's no, like, we handled it very, very well. And so, like, I blew up on a customer 5 times today.
Shoot.
But in a very, like
it was low key where she would pick up
I probably
the
would have
phone
fired him already.
Like killing them with kindness.
yeah. Like, I'm not a jerk. If you're a jerk to me, like, overall, like, you probably crawled up from the pits of hell, I'm going to be an asshole back to you. But outside of that circumstance, I'm going to be like, you yelled at me, you know what? That's okay. You have a great day. You take care. Knowing well that's just going to piss off the other person. My wife and I have that same personality, and so that's how we go off of. So,
Ooh,
like,
that's
earlier,
dangerous.
Cool.
yeah.
Let's pass the mic to Veronica and then Ray on that topic.
I have a couple questions for you. Now that I was like holding them in, but I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
on
But
that,
you go ahead.
On the topic of, would you be okay if your husband was like, oh, hey, I'm going to go with your friend, meet us in an hour. Is that okay with you?
No.
Yeah.
Even though you're mutual friends?
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
Wait, man, that's a tough question.
You both and I like you and your spouse, like from the get go, were already friends with this person.
Oh,
Both friends,
yeah,
mutual friends.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
yeah.
See?
I would.
But after becoming friends, or he met this person later on, then that's weird.
Like after the marriage?
After marriage, 'cause I would think so.
Wait. So was she already friends with this person?
No. Like if it would
I
be
still don't
someone,
think it's weird.
Yeah, no.
No, I have
Depending on the
person I was-
level of
the person I was talking about earlier.
Uh-huh.
We both didn't become friends with. We
So
met this
after.
person. We met this person with where we
gotcha,
work with that now.
gotcha.
So you're saying like if I became friends with this female
Both of you
after
became-
marriage?
Yeah. Both
Yeah.
of you became
Or-
friends with this person after
after.
marriage.
Oh,
To
and
me,
would I
she-
still find it
Weird.
odd?
Yeah. Or it'd be the same.
It depends on how close we are with that person.
Mm.
I mean, if I know like I can
You can trust them.
trust them, yeah,
What?
definitely,
Okay,
I don't mind.
Okay, so another scenario to throw at you, only because I have a best friend. Shout out Michaela. I would die for this girl, but she was diehard.
That's
She
a red
was
flag.
she was diehard best friends with my wife.
Before.
Okay, way before.
Oh.
And I met
And they're
her.
not anymore?
I met her.
They still are.
So I met her before my wife and I even started dating, and
Oh,
her
okay.
and I became best friends.
Oh, okay.
Not on a intimacy level. I
Oh,
never
yeah.
like we never found each other attractive. It was just then we got married, and now like she'll visit us in town, and then she'll like while my wife is working, be like, "Hey, Justin and I are gonna go grab coffee and then go meet you afterwards."
Would you be okay with
Would you be okay with that if you were like your best friend from like 7-8 years
When's like
became best friends with your spouse, who was still best friends with them with that person
Yeah.
even before you guys got together?
That's a rare circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say no.
All your circumstances are very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, and which is crazy to me
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like to me it's common. I'm like, oh yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah.
Would you like?
It-
that laugh.
Fake laugh, honeyed real pain.
Yeah, like I think I agree with you. It's very uncommon because I would
Did
say
you record this? No,
no.
or it's automatic.
Target.
Oh, okay.
Does it sound like me?
Kinda.
Oh wow.
it kinda-
I don't think so.
Maybe I just.
Okay,
leave.
so would you be okay with that?
Hey.
It's
I don't know. I guess just
Because
me,
everything
me
honest-
on a personal
Go.
level, no, I would not.
Me neither.
I would be like, why?
It's completely
Why?
understandable.
everything
understandable.
everything he says sounds very appealing, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
And who knows? Maybe that'll look bad on me too, because that'll consider me insecure, paranoid.
But absolutely
Going back to like all the
no,
traits
it's
that
not, because if you're not there yet, like Justin had said earlier, like maybe you're not at that level yet, because you still have time to build that friendship within them. And
even if you're at that level, it's very, very, very important that you pick the people who you can be at that level with. Otherwise, it will not work.
Yeah.
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 Otherwise, it will not work. So no, I don't think that you're being insecure or anything like that. But
and people have different boundaries too.
Exactly.
I mean, let's talk about it. There's swingers out there.
Yeah.
yeah,
They have way looser boundaries than
Yeah.
than
Like open
Then
marriages,
anything-
right?
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
the
thought- that's another thing,
thought
too.
of it infuriates me.
Really?
really.
Yeah, I don't believe
It's
in open
crazy.
marriages.
Which is, y'all are like, really? With all the open friendships you have?
No, it infuriates me because again,
Right?
look, he's acting. No. We
He's
took
he's low key coming under like the swingers community, trying to open us to like
be like, guys,
Opening
it's
up the
okay.
hey.
My house next Wednesday. No. So my wife and I took a very, very long time handpicking the people
Yeah.
who can be a part of that type of like
In your
friendship.
circle. Yeah.
Yes. And so like to think even for a second that you're tearing apart and like literally ripping apart the marriage for what 15 minutes of another human being. Like the thought of it just it infuriates me. I can't even.
And that's the only reason
I can't think about it.
that any of my friendships with other women have worked is because it just so happens that they're married and we're all friends. So the thought doesn't even enter my mind. It's like we've been friends since high school. So we all would hang out like several times during the week. They come over for breakfast, they come over for lunch, they come over for dinner. Like these people were my family.
Yeah.
So then that's why the relationship has always worked with each of those people individually, because we are friends with everyone, you know. And
it's not a switch.
Yeah.
You gotta evolve that friendship.
And it's grown. The only time that I can really consider like a time or that I was friends with someone that it did not work out well with is when I had just started working in Brownsville.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I had just started.
I was working here with so and so and so and so and so and so.
And I had just gotten married, and so one of my new coworkers, her and I hit it off like awesome, and she was maybe like 10 years older than me, but I was like 20 at the time. I had just gotten married. So like my mindset was very naive. I was very like innocent, I guess. And so she would do a lot of things that I think back now and it's like, holy crap.
Like it looks bad.
It was horrible. Like it didn't just look bad. It like she straight up said, these are my intentions. And you know,
she straight up said it though.
Well,
like,
because leading up, it was leading up to it. It was leading up to it. Yeah. So like all the signs I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
It wasn't until she said it that I was like, oh
In
man.
front of who?
She said it in front of my wife. I told you the story. Oh man. Okay, so we're sitting like this in the lounge. We're sitting that crazy, dude. It boggles my mind till this very day. We're
we
sitting.
need to have her on the show.
My wife? Yeah.
No. The girl. She's so like open, like that's.
And you know what? I kind of like.
Bad idea.
I like that. I like that as a personality trait.
Okay.
Sure.
Not,
Yeah.
Not that it was directed towards me.
Very
but
confident up front.
Yeah, like man, this is what I'm gonna go get. Like, yeah, you go, girl. Like, no, wait.
Oh, dude, not me.
But I was so naive at the time, and that I was just like, man, like I allowed that.
Yeah.
I allowed that to continue, and not even thinking because I was just married, man. So my thoughts were not in anybody else. I'm a newlywed.
Yeah.
I'm going home with my wife.
It's hard to transition.
It's very,
Like,
very
from, like,
weird.
single, like I have all these friends.
Yes.
Now I'm married.
Yeah.
I still have all these friends.
And think that it's okay to like, you know, like, but no, like you have to set those boundaries. And so my wife comes in, we're at work, and I'm introducing her to all my coworkers. So this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. My wife's sitting right there. And then this girl, my coworker, she's in the back just with her arms crossed, like, you know, and I don't even notice that. But
Of course she did.
Yeah.
Your wife did.
No, not.
Oh, she did?
Not
Oh, okay.
really. But as I'm introducing her, yeah, so and so, this is my wife. And from across the room, she's like, yeah, for now. And then just walks out. And I'm
What
like,
did your wife say?
she was so shocked, like she thought she was like semi joking.
Shit, I would have gone out there and be like, excuse me?
And everyone, the whole room was like awkwardly looking at each other like, did she really just say that? And to me, it was like, okay.
You like flipped your hair and you were like, yeah.
And it probably looked very bad on you.
It probably did. I didn't realize that until now.
No, you were flipping your hair and you were like, yeah, people want me.
So ever since then,
God.
Rays are not allowed to have female friends. No.
Yeah. And you know what? I think the workplace is a very dangerous place.
Okay.
Okay.
Goes
So
unsupervised.
who did I talk
Yeah.
to about this? I forgot who I talked to about this. It might have been Abram, right? That show. I said there's a statistic which we are going to talk about on the topic, but the number one place for affairs is the workplace.
Yeah,
I
no
agree.
doubt, no doubt.
Number one place. It's
Well, that's where you spend most of your day, so that makes
Exactly.
sense.
yeah. And then if you're having problems at home, you take them to work, right? And then like
Before you vent,
you get caught in the wrong time at the wrong place. Like it's literally.
and the opportunities.
And guess what?
are
Guess what
all
the number
time.
2 is? The gym. So that was both for you.
Because I worked at the gym.
Oh,
You said bear trap after like you were like, oh my foot, my right foot, and then you walked in and you were like, oh my left foot. Like, dang, dude, like,
Oh man.
yeah, but
God.
workplace for sure, definitely a
craziness.
dangerous place.
okay.
Yeah.
So, question for you: after hearing everything that we've had to say, moving forward, you being in the situation that you're being in, you're in a relationship now.
No.
No. I'm saying.
Oh.
like,
Hypothetically. Okay, yeah.
my
yeah,
bad.
that's
My
right.
bad. Okay.
Use your words.
Okay. My bad. Interesting. Bear trap.
You gotta be real specific with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Hypothetically.
There you go.
Hypoallergenically.
Onomatopoeia.
Hyperbole.
Right?
Photosynthesis.
Okay. Hypothetically.
Okay.
Hypothetically, you're in a relationship. He comes to you and is like, hey, my best friend from high school is wanting to meet up. Is it cool?
I would have been like, "Who's your best friend from high school?"
Okay.
Do I
Then
know
he
this
goes,
person?
you know what? You're right. So the next day, he brings her up and gives you the whole loadout of like how this person became friends with him and like how they're like super
The next
close.
day, meaning after they already hung out.
No. He goes, you know what? You're right. We don't need to hang out. Like, I don't, you know. Are you still going to trust him to go hang out even if after he gives you a loadout? Like, of like how they became friends and like how they're close? Even though like he hadn't met you? Or you were like, no.
I don't know, cause I mean,
There's no wrong answer.
if you're married, then with any person that you're
I'm saying
bringing
no,
in-
you're not married.
I no, but well, okay, even in a relationship too. Like
Okay.
I feel if you want to depends on how mature you are too. If you want to have a strong relationship, even with your boyfriend and girlfriend, you definitely need to always include your girlfriend.
So I would say, and I think that we can all agree to the general statement, can married men and or women have girlfriends or boyfriends? Initial statement, no.
Yeah, no.
But the reason my answer was yes, and upon certain circumstances, is I think that if depending on the relationship and depending on the friendship, I think you can make it work. But initially, this is usually not women's fault, but men suck. So I would say no. No.
Okay.
Men cannot.
Using your same analogy, I would say the opposite. Initially, broadly speaking, yes. The only variable that I'm gonna add on top, because everything that you just said literally adds on to what my answer is.
Yeah.
The only variable is like y'all said, what do you qualify as a friendship? So like if I qualify as a sister from church as a friend,
That's fair.
then yes, but no, bringing like because of all the circumstances and everything.
That's why I'm saying it has to depend. It depends on. So yes, but depending on the relationship that you have with your spouse. So like you can have that friendship. So like people that I haven't spoken to since high school who are female,
yeah.
that my wife knows about, I can still confidently speak to once, twice a year, or whatever, like that, or like possibly go and have a cookout with them and things like that. I'm saying like that to me, that's the mutual respect of the relationship. That's why my answer was yes, you can, but depending on the circumstance.
Yeah.
Outside of that, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, you can't just like get a friend from work and be like, oh my gosh, my best friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's happened before. And a matter of fact, that the like last job I worked at, me and this girl got super, super close, and I was like, oh, this girl's like super dope. And as soon as my wife started to point out, she was like, no, look at these red flags. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, maybe they're red flags, maybe they're not. But the fact that I'm even questioning it makes it a red flag, so I'm going to back up. And since then, I've not spoken to this person. So, like, That's why my immediate response is no.
Yeah.
Yes, depending on the circumstance. However, no. Never.
Okay,
You
so-
can't just like meet someone outside of your relationship and just be like, yeah, we're friends. No.
Yeah.
Okay,
Does
so
not work that way.
I would word it different and say generally speaking, no.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, no. But
That was
in-
my
in
answer.
specific
Yeah.
circumstances, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
better than
Yes.
initial
Yes.
and
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
But I think it goes both ways too. I think for the female too, if
Yeah,
she
no.
were to bring
Yeah,
a
yeah,
male,
yeah.
like out of nowhere, the male is gonna be like,
I think that's a whole nother topic just because again we're programmed
Oh, yeah.
different and because at the end of the day marriage comes down to boundaries and guys have a lot more pride than women do.
Yeah.
So a guy's boundary, and again, like Justin said, it does suck for the female.
Yeah, because the guys want to push the boundary for their
Yeah,
situation.
so exactly.
But when it comes to the spouses, they're like, "Hey, what
Very
are you doing?
short.
Where are you going?"
So here's the thing, and I'm gonna give an
Yeah.
analogy. Real quick.
One-sided.
The only reason that we say that,
guilty conscience.
so I would agree with you. It should and it can be the other way with like females and having guy friends. However, there was a circumstance where like we were mutual friends with this other person. However, I knew this person's intention about everything in life. So I told my wife, I said, I trust you in a room with a snake. Would I trust you to not go up to that snake? Yes. But do I trust that snake not to go up to you and bite you? Absolutely not.
Great analogy.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Why even put you in the situation where you're going to be in the room with that snake?
Yeah.
That's funny
Absolutely
because
not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Promo.
I trust you. I trust you with everything inside of me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that that snake is not going to try and bite you.
Exactly.
You're a human being.
Yeah.
You're capable of being bit.
Yeah. So
You
now,
know?
but we can also flip that on. Like, what if the woman pulled that on the man? Like, if the man wanted to push that boundary, right? And then she gave you the same scenario. So what Ray and I were talking about is right is that us men, we kind of do treat women unfairly, and we're very territorial, and we want a little bit more leash. But when it comes to the women,
Very caveman like. Ugh.
Yeah,
yeah, it all comes down to testosterone. Like,
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a
No, I
hormone
think
thing.
it should work both ways.
Yeah.
And I think and
Ideally.
the only reason that like I don't give that analogy lightly. It's not like my wife meets this person who could be a potential amazing human being and I'm like, "No, don't talk to this."
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But if I know this person or I have a 20-minute conversation with this person and I'm immediately red flag, then I'm giving that analogy and I'm like, "Hey, I trust you with everything inside of me, but this person could possibly bite you because I know I know that they want to bite you. Like no,
it can be a little tiny garden snake.
garden snake doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what type of snake
Do
that
garden
they are.
snakes still bite?
Yes.
Yes, but they don't have teeth, so they just like.
It's
Well,
more of like
so-
a lizard. They just
Yeah.
in there. It's fine.
Yeah.
Now the king cobra came by.
Now, if you gave me that analogy, like
I'm not letting my wife near a king cobra.
What's your definition of a king cobra?
I'm the garden snake. Yeah. You have damn freaking Ryan Reynolds walk by and my wife's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Hell no, no, you ain't getting near that. No,
You're biting her with your garden snake.
You're gumming her to death.
I'm biting the king cobra with my garden snake mouth. No."
yeah.
Oh man. So that was a great conversation. I think we're gonna wrap it up here unless y'all have anything else to say. I would really love, since we got y'all's initials. Since we got y'all's initial answer, right? I would like to hear y'all's answer now, getting all the perspectives, giving a bunch of different scenarios. Has it changed? Has it stayed the same? Let us know in the comments below. I am very interested about this one.
Yeah.
And if there's anything else that y'all would like for us to talk about as far as relationship goes, let us know. I like these.
Yeah, same.
But
Same.
thank you all for coming. Honestly, it's been a pleasure, and we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, we'll see you.
On the track.